Hi, Ingvild. So, for the viewers, could you just give a quick recap on the European carbon market and where we came from and the kind of key purpose behind it?
Yeah, so the EU emission trading system, or kind of the European carbon market, is a policy instrument. So it's one of the tools in that policymakers have in their toolbox in how to meet a climate target. That's been kind of up and running since 2005. There has been some kind of issues, has been suffering from oversupply, that you have allowed more emissions than the actual emissions have been, but you have had kind of policy fixes on the road. So now you have a system that you have confidence in and that is actually delivering a carbon price which kind of drives emission reductions in Europe.
And so, how is it? How is the market structured, and how is it sort of set up? And who are the key players in order that these greening targets that have been set in Europe can be reached? What is the main sort of mechanism, and who are the main players at the moment?
Yeah, so it's really set up for industry and power sector. So it's for industry and power, they need to report on their emission on a yearly basis and have to hand in emission allowances that kind of corresponds to their yearly emissions. So that's kind of the key players in the market. And of course, you have set a cap on how much emissions you are allowing in the system. And these kind of power and industry players needs to make sure that the emissions are below this cap. So how these emission allowances are coming to the market is either via daily auctions. So for instance, if you're a power company, you need to buy on the market and have to pay the market price of a carbon allowance. Whilst industry is a bit different because they also get free allocations. So if you're an industry player, you will receive some of the emission allowances that you need for free. And that's because, for a lot of the industry players, they are competing on a global playing ground. So you don't want industry to move out of Europe because you have this carbon cost in Europe that you don't have in other parts of the world. So the risk, kind of to minimize this risk of carbon leakage. And then you also kind of have these emission allowances that are traded on exchanges. So then anyone can really kind of participate in the market. And of course, power and industry sectors have to be in this market because they need to. But then we have seen also kind of there are other actors in the market, so financials, hedge funds, which see this as an interesting market. And especially now, over the last years, when you have regained confidence that the European emission trading system is a tool that will actually deliver a carbon or price signal that will lead to a greening of the European economy.
And as you mentioned, there are new actors coming into it, so we're starting to see financial players coming in. What are the challenges that that's going to pose going forward? Because this 10-year plan, is there going to be some problems or distortions created by kind of non-corporate and non-industry players coming in and getting involved in this market?
You have just raised the ambition for the 2030 target for Europe, or you're finalizing the final goal now. But in December, you had all the member states in EU agreeing that you were going to lift the emission reduction target from 40% to at least 55% by 2030, which is kind of a massive increase in ambition. So, of course, that has been partly responsible also for the upturn you've seen in prices since November, really, combined with fundamental factors like you had a really cold winter, more power demand, high gas prices. So you really had to have a high carbon price in order to kind of release some of these emission reductions that you see taking place when you have a high carbon price, for instance, switching from coal to gas. But of course, in the summer, you can say that you now have fixed the overall target, which is, I would say, the easy bit. Because now you have to really dig into all the details in all kind of sort of legislation on how these changes should be implemented also into the EU emission trading scheme. And in the summer, the European Commission will come out with their proposal on how you should kind of revise the whole framework, the rules and regulations on how to meet this new target. And of course, if you see prices are rising, and policymakers will have this, if kind of they think that this price rise, or if you see prices continuing to rise without kind of any kind of fundamental reasons behind it, or any kind of policy making behind it, then maybe you get more resistance to make all these changes that you need to do. You need kind of the common support from everyone, that is not squeezing out emitters from Europe, but actually are delivering a price signal that will lead to this green transition that the world needs.
Brilliant, great. Thank you very much for those insights, Ingvild. That's very interesting. Thank you very much.